AITAH for writing on my ex's car after he cheated on me and dumped me for the girl he cheated with. Okay, this might be a long one and I'm sorry the title is mundane. I'm not really crazy enough to key his car or spray paint it because I'd feel horrible if I did. Anyways, context, I, 19F, was with my ex, 19 meters, for 3 years. We met in college and started dating 3 months later. He was everything I could ever ask for, sweet, intelligent. We went through college together and I feel like I've known him my whole life. It was that instant connection. For the first year everything was actually alright, but then he started working at a fast food restaurant and met Sarah, 18 meters. Sarah is a year younger than us both and isn't a nice person at all. However, they got close as they both loved the same bands and singers like TV Girl, The Cure, Radiohead and your other typical indie bands that they class as underground. This is important context for later. I will admit I am insecure, however I always, for the sake of the relationship, allowed him to do what he wanted. I wasn't going to parent him and I let him do anything he wanted. They got closer and it did make me uncomfortable. I did voice these opinions, however he would usually shut him down with the typical, "She's just a friend, don't worry, she's like my little sister and isn't my type." Things got a bit rocky and in summer 2022 we mutually decided to take a break from the relationship, which lasted for 3 months. However, in this time he had fingered her. However, after he was going around saying how disgusted he was, he even touched her and how ugly she was, and that he realizes they're just friends. Come November 2022 and he contacts me saying he wants to meet up and talk, so we did. Here he told me everything he did, which I wasn't impressed with because I knew I had a gut feeling about Sarah for a reason. Anyways, we ended up taking things slowly to build up trust and get back together, but I gave him the conditions that he blocks Sarah and she stays out of our lives because I didn't feel comfortable if the girl he fingered was around our relationship, and that is also when I found out she is basically in love with him, which further solidified my decision to ask him to block her, which he did. I only met Sarah once and that was when mine and my ex's friend group went out for some drinks. She had used a fake ID to get in, so she was already on a thin line really, but she sat there most of the night staring at my ex and not making any conversation with anyone. If a brick wall was personified, then it'd be Sarah. She has zero personality to her. Anyways, her and her 2 mates had gone outside for a smoke and me and my ex and some of our friends also went outside, and that is when Sarah got her fake ID taken off her. The bouncer had confiscated it and told her she needed to fuck off. I live in the UK, so things like this is pretty normal. She was going to get an Uber back, but I felt uncomfortable, a then 17-year-old being in an Uber by herself, so I offered her a lift back with my ex and one of our mates. She took up my offer. And that was the only time I ever met that girl. Keep in mind I didn't do anything horrible to her, I was only ever nice. Now this is when I made the mistake of befriending Sarah on Snapchat and also letting my ex unblock her. For like 2 months Sarah and my ex were constantly talking to the point she became second on his best friends list, and I found this really odd considering he said they don't talk that much. One snap I saw from her when he opened it and she was just being too suggestive. Anyways, I stopped my ex and said that I didn't think it was a good idea that he had her anymore, as their interactions were making me uncomfortable, and that I'd appreciate it if he blocked her and left her in the past for good this time. I apologized for confusing him, but my logic was I was too harsh on the girl and wanted to give her an opportunity to be a good friend to him, but she proved she's a little minx who's very good at playing the innocent card, and I had to stop it before it escalated. Spoiler, it didn't stop a fucking thing. October 2023, the very first week, one of my ex's friends who he goes university with messaged me saying that him and Sarah had been hanging out in our local town, going to record stores together, and that he had taken a photo of her holding a vinyl and saved it to his My Eyes Only on Snap. I was really hurt and very upset. I couldn't stop crying because he had told me he was in town with a mate, so he had lied. We nearly broke up then and there, but he manipulated the situation and got me to stay. I would like to add here now that my ex was very emotionally abusive. It's left me with some major trauma now. 1 week later, he has sex with her on a Wednesday and I do not find out until the Tuesday after that week. The Friday after he cheated, he took me out for food, looked me in my eyes and told me he loved me and would never cheat on me. Fucking ironic. However, he asked the most bizarre question: if we got married and you found I cheated, let's say 5 years into the marriage, would you leave me? This question alone should have waved the red flags, but because I was so blinded I just joked that I'd dump his ass and take everything, but I noticed the slight change in his whole demeanor and mood after that. But I didn't notice. That brings me to Tuesday. He's acting weird on text and then he drops it on me that he has something to tell me, but he wants to do it in person, and we couldn't see each other until Friday that week. This worried me and I pushed and pushed until he rang me sobbing and admitted to having sex with Sarah, and I threw up. I was crying, gagging, puking the whole mile whilst he was apologizing profusely. Genuinely, I have never felt pain like this in my entire life. It was physical pain. Your chest hurts, you feel violently ill, it is just vile. To cut a longer story short, I believed he was genuinely sorry and I took him back. However, looking back now, I know there was nothing genuine about any of it. After this, the relationship has changed entirely. I can't sleep in his bed without having panic attacks because that's where he fucked her. He got angry at me for being upset over the situation. It was just a really shitty and difficult time, and because he was so manipulative, he'd isolated me from my friends and family, so I really felt alone. We got back to some sort of normal and I felt like we were improving. Then December 2023, my granddad got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer and was given under 6 months left to live. I was devastated because I was really close to this granddad, and again for later context, my ex was fully aware of this. January 2024, on my 19th birthday, my granddad was given under 2 weeks left to live. I spent that evening in my ex's arms sobbing and just saying how the world is unfair, and he agreed with me. January the 15th is the last time I see my granddad alive, which also happens to be the last time I see my ex as he decides to dump me, smiley face. It was so random and out of the blue, but he said he wanted to work on himself and I was so heartbroken, but what could I do? I didn't accept it, but I had to be there for my nan. That's when I found out that evening that my ex had Sarah over his place and he had taken her on a date, and this wasn't even 2 hours after he had dumped me. January 19th, my granddad dies in the morning. It's gut-wrenching, and despite my ex dumping me, he said if I ever needed anything to message me because he still loves me. BS. Anyways, I messaged him, hi ____, just to let you know my granddad died 10 minutes ago. I know we're not together, but I could really use some help. To which I get an immediate response, ____. I'm so sorry to hear about your granddad, but I'm with Sarah at the moment. Again, I'm sorry and I hope you have the support. Heart shattered even further. I struggle with mental health issues and he always used to make fun of me harming myself, so it was all just a big fat smack in the face, really. The next month I am just existing. Bed rotting, throwing everything back up, crying all the time, loads of panic attacks. I nearly had to go in hospital because I just was so unwell. All the meanwhile, my ex and Sarah are going out on loads of dates and they make their relationship official on Valentine's Day. The funny thing about this, though, is he took her to the same place and the same table he asked me to be his GF. She was literally in the seat I sat in, lol. Anyways, now they're flaunting their relationship, trying to act like the most innocent people when they are both horrible. It is during this time I find out more about the cheating. Sarah had slept the night after they fucked, and yet my ex denied that rumor up until he ended it with me, then deemed it was okay for me to know the truth. They had been calling since their hangout in town, falling asleep on FaceTime together. Sarah knew we were dating, so please don't feel any sympathy for her because she knew very well what she was doing, and she never apologized to me, just said she should have waited for us to break up before making a move. Yet she goes around telling everyone how scared of me she is. From February up until now, even I took the time to reflect on everything, and I always pick up on things he did that makes me believe he was cheating for longer but emotionally before the physical. When we were going a concert in September 2023, he asked me what I class as emotional cheating, and I gave him my answer. It's such a red flag question now that makes me believe they had been talking since the start of August 2023. IDK, this information just breaks my heart, to be honest with you. Now that brings me to the present. He had claimed him and Sarah were made for each other because they both love TV Girl and no one listens to them like we do. I shit you not, their whole relationship is built on a delusion they're soulmates because they both like TV Girl. And yet I bet a lot of the people on this sub are bigger fans than him too. He's taking her to see Cigarettes After Sex in November, but oh wait, me and him saw them in November 2023. He's trying to live our relationship through her. Anyways, between February and March he had been harassing me like crazy, creating alt accounts to message me but making them untraceable so Sarah didn't know, and this is when he admitted he still loved me and asked if there is ever another chance. I never answered that question because he was trying to get closure from me, but he never gave the decency of any closure when he dumped me, so why should I? During this period he said a lot to me which I have screenshots of, waiting for the day they come in useful, and was insulting the hell out of Sarah. She doesn't know he was messaging me or anything. I eventually had enough and blocked him. However, at the start of March I unblocked him because I found out he had been sending my nudes to his mates. I went ballistic. However, he claimed he didn't have them, but he has a secret calculator app on his phone no one, not even Sarah, will know about, and that is where he keeps them. I called him a lot of names and just ripped him a new one, and that was the last time I had contact with him. So then about 2 weeks ago me and my friend, who is a mutual of myself and my ex, were at his house because he had some of my stuff he found. He kept a lot of it still. My friend was in the house for so long but he had parked his car right behind my ex's car. It is also worth noting now that my ex has a 2005 Toyota Aygo worth like £500, and in my friend's car he has a bingo dobber. So then I had this amazing idea to write some very colourful words on his car with it. I made sure to write them big and bold so anyone would be able to see, and immediately after I felt horrendous, but I committed to my decision. I think it rained that night and it washed off his car anyways, but I just felt so bad. As of now, I'm doing alright, but I still get in my feels and just get so sad about the situation. I know I'm not the only one who's gone through a heartbreak like this, but sometimes you just feel so alone. Anyways, I hope I haven't bored anyone too much or confused anyone. I was crying whilst typing this up. If anyone has any advice on how they got over their shitty ex, I'd love to know. 3. Sorry AITAH for writing on my ex's car after he dumped me for the girl he cheated on me with. P.S. Ash and Summer, yes, they're real names. I hope you two realize what horrible people you both are. Honorable mentions of things my ex did after cheating. Called me Summer during sex. Said it would have been more fun to go to Leeds Festival, a UK music festival, with Summer instead of me. Compared mine and Summer's music taste. Said she is his perfect girl. Mine is literally not even that bad. Said to a friend that all he would change about me is putting Summer's personality in my body. Gaslit me like crazy. Threatened to off himself one time. I told him to do it. Told me he's so glad I stayed with him because I'm not ugly like Summer, and said he breath smelt like ass during sex. Also told me she is flat as a pancake and that I am so much prettier than her.